Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio. It can also stand for ice cream.
I like it. Praise the Lord.
Yes. Wow. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television as well, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundance TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We are at Creekside 2022. We thought we would never get rid of 2020.
Isn't that the truth?
I'm so happy.
Isn't that the truth? For sure.
I am so happy. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. So we've been doing a lot of interviews this week, and so I'll be here one more day, and so I'm really, really excited. Shellum, Cline. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. I've been looking forward to this interview.
Also known as you knew it was going to be fun, right? You're just going to make you're just going to be funny.
We've been making these little wisecracks to each other all day long. As a matter of fact, the bed bugs were not that bad.
They wasn't that bad.
No,
See?
not that bad.
I'm telling you.
He had me freaked out.
It was great. It was awesome. The look on your face was priceless.
I bet it was priceless.
It was great.
You know what they say
awesome.
About payback?
Oh, yes, I know. I'm scared.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
It could be here. No, it's not. It
That's
will be.
awesome.
So tell me about you.
Well, of course, I'm a Christian country artist. Originally from Troutman, North Carolina, which is about 30, 45 minutes north of Charlotte.
North Carolina.
That's right. That's right. North Carolina boy.
And I'm the only person around here who knows where that is.
Probably so. Probably. But I got married last year. I've got a wife, and I've got 3 little munchkins in the house. I got a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old. All girls.
Oh, boy.
Y'all pray.
And
That's all I can say.
Wait, what ages are they?
7, 6, and 5. They're stair steps.
My goodness, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be the prom. You're going to have to pay for all that.
Oh, listen. Let me tell you,
all this stuff.
it's even bad already. My 7-year-old, I picked her up from school the other day, and she came out with a big old smile on her face, and I was like, what in the world? You're so happy. And she said, Daddy, guess what? And I said, what? She said, I have a boyfriend. I was like, oh, no, you don't.
It's starting early.
No. Nope. I told her she could get a boyfriend when she was 50, and she could get married when she's 75. That's how I feel it.
Yeah,
it just works.
It won't work that way.
Probably not.
I'm sorry. And to have
not.
girls, I had the one boy. And of course, my little baby boy right now is 43 years old. And I always wanted a little girl. Just, wasn't in God's timing. It's for it to be. So I have a daughter-in-law who is my daughter now.
Okay.
And so when I got married, I said, Larissa, I've always wanted to have a little girl. She said, please don't try to dress me in little frilly dresses.
I love it.
I said, no, mine would have been a tomboy, so don't worry about it.
I love it. That's
no
awesome.
ribbons, no nothing like that.
Right.
Now, let's talk about your music.
Yes, ma'am. Well, obviously, we are signed with Positive Country Records, and I've got a brand new album that was just released in early 2022 called Real Life. That's all it is. And all 10 songs on that album talk about, obviously, real life. Had a song called Does Heaven Have a Dirt Road, which was a national hit for us. It was actually a #1 song on the large market Christian country music charts. We're pretty excited about that. And the song Good Things is actually out right now across the nation on radio. So it's going great. We're excited. God is just opening doors like crazy. It's awesome how God is just moving everything, and it's awesome.
Well, when I met him yesterday, and so he was talking about his music and his country, I said, I love the Cowboy Church. We go to the Cowboy Church.
Yes.
So it's like we just became instant buds,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It was funny because one of the ladies earlier today, she come up to me. I wrote a song about 4 years ago called "I Was Country as a Pan of Cornbread." And the hook line says, exactly, the hook line says, I'm country as a pan of cornbread, but my daddy's the King of Kings. And so she's like, that's the country's cornbread boy. And it was funny. So we had a good time for sure.
You have to be known for something.
Oh, exactly, for sure.
So you're a songwriter as well.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you come up with the ideas? What happens?
Well, honestly, it's just inspiration going down the road. I'll hear somebody say something, life in itself. I've got a little notebook. Well, it's now on my phone, but I'll hear a hook or something. I was like, just something hits me, and I'll just write it down, and then I'll either do it as a solo writer. I do a lot of co-writes with some friends of mine out in Nashville. So we're excited about it. God is just using, and so far this year we've had a lot of folks from the local to the national level in both country gospel and Christian country pick up some songs and that are recording it. So it's pretty cool when you hear other artists that are singing your song and making it their own as well.
That's the ultimate right there.
It was cool. So far this year, I believe it's 36 cuts that we've had from different artists. So it's pretty exciting. It's awesome. And that was like one of the groups earlier today was singing, and they sung one of my songs. They just kind of looked at me and smiled. It just makes you feel good.
You feel like a
Know
proud
that-
papa. when
Exactly,
that's happening. Is that right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
wow. So what's really the difference between Southern gospel and country gospel?
Well, Southern gospel. Now this is Shellosophy right here. Okay, this is
gonna
my
be good.
this is Shellosophy. All right. So Southern gospel is kind of like biblical stories that try to relate to today's life. Country gospel is kind of the same thing. It's just you add a steel guitar to it. And then you can go back and do a lot of old hymns. A lot of old hymns do well with country gospel. And then you got Christian country, where the first verse is like gloom and despair. Second verse is more of hope and encouragement, things like that. And you pull it all together, and it's basically real life that's pointing folks to Jesus Christ and giving them the hope and encouragement of Jesus
Anything
Christ.
about your dog in the song?
Oh, you better
Things
believe
like that?
it.
You got a
Dogs,
dog in
trucks.
there?
You better believe it.
Pickup trucks, and
Yeah,
all the works.
I've even got a song called "I Love You More Than Ice Cream." So you put
Oh,
food in
that
it.
is something.
My very first funny thing, my very first number one song we've had 11 number one songs so far in Christian country, and my very first number one song was called "Blue Jeans and Biscuits."
Sounds good.
That's right. Gravy biscuits make me smile.
Me too. But it's all about keeping it real, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't care who they are. People are just people.
Right, exactly, and that's something with my testimony. That's something that's really different with me. Is I share my testimony in every single event that I do, and when I share my testimony, it touches people because there's folks out there going through the exact same thing that I've had to face, that I've walked through, and that gives me the opportunity to inspire them and encourage them. And be a blessing and point them to the cross. And I like to tell this story in every one of my events. There was a young man in a little town of North Carolina that he was going through the exact same thing I was. We were on the phone together. His mom was in one of the concerts and just asked me if I'd talk to him. Handed me a phone, and I was talking to him. Met him in the church parking lot. Invited him to come and just meet me in the church parking lot. And when we got there, the young man picked up a gun and put it to his head in the church parking lot. And the only thing I could think of was just tell your story. We like sharing the good things in life, but it's the bad and the ugly. That's God's favorite time to move. And we can teach people so much by that. And so what we do is I just told him the bad and the ugly. I just shared it with him. And when I shared that with him, he took the gun down from his head. And right there in the middle of the church parking lot at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, of course, that's after God's office hours, we had the opportunity to lead this young man to Jesus Christ. And that's what it was about. That's what it was about.
It was all about being real.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about being real. And
What do you say about this? Because the past few decades, we've been going through this, the 1960s and 70s. When I grew up, it was all about me.
Right.
I'm the me person, feeling marriages broken up because it had to be about me.
Right.
Kids
Right.
being raised by whoever.
Right.
Do you feel like it's been the fall? Is that been part of the fall?
I think so.
Because we've been, it's,
I do.
it's a little different now.
Right, I do. And I feel like we as a whole, we've made it about me, made it about ourselves, when really we should be like sharing, hey, you know what, let's help each other. And that's the thing, we've got to work together instead of working apart, because if we can work together, we'll be a whole lot better shape.
Yeah,
But that's just, again, Shellosophy. So,
What about, I want to know your opinion on this, because, we're afraid to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right, right.
I'm just going to say, if you see me about to walk off a cliff, hurt my feelings.
Exactly. Grab me, throw me back.
Saving me.
Don't let me
So
walk
we're
off the
walking
cliff.
on eggshells sometimes
Right.
with people.
And I felt that myself. And again, that was one reason why I would never share the bad and the ugly of my life. I would only share the good things. And I kept doing that over and over because I felt like if I shared that, then I would be the one getting condemned. It was kind of like a self-preservation, if you will. But when you open up and you share your story, people are able to work with you and you help people, So it's like work together, make it happen, and sometimes you gotta hurt feelings. You gotta hurt feelings.
Sometimes, but again, now we're buddies now. So
Exactly,
you
exactly.
hurt my feelings, or I'll be mad if you don't.
Exactly.
So sometimes you're on the stage and you're singing,
Right.
okay, and something just resonates with somebody. You're singing something that touches somebody. You think they're the only ones going through this crisis, and everybody's having a crisis right now in their life,
Exactly.
whatever it is. So, how do you feel when you're looking with someone and you've made that connection with them? And man, you've hit their button.
Right. That's the best feeling in the world. To just be able to look at somebody in the eyes and realize that your story, your song has touched them. And it's like, you feel proud and you're just like, you know what, God used that. And I'd like to tell people, as of today, we've seen 19 souls come to the Lord as their Savior this year alone. And it's like, I get to take part in that, and when we get to heaven, and I tell this story all the time, I wonder how many people, when we get to heaven, are going to walk up to you and say, you don't know me, but you shared your story with me. And you're the reason why I'm here. And just when you're singing and you see those tears rolling and you see people come to the altar and get the help they need, you're just sitting here and it's just like you can hear God saying, proud of you. That's my boy. It's my boy. And it just, that's what it makes you feel.
That's the ultimate feeling right
Oh,
there.
exactly.
So what do you think about someone who says, well, what I do is just not much. It's just some little thing.
I am a firm believer that every single one of us, every one of us is part of the kingdom, and every one of us has a job. There's not a job that's too big. There's not a job that's too small. Whether you're a preacher or the custodian, okay, you still have a job that God has called you to do. And God doesn't say, well, you're a better person than this, or you're better, your job's better than this one. I don't believe that.
I don't think there's anyone more important than the other.
I don't think there is either. And that's again what I'm trying to portray in our events, is the simple fact that, Jesus loves us all. He loves every single one of us. And we have a job to do. And my job is no different than your job. And your job is no different than somebody else's job that's just walking down the road over here, And that sometimes just all they need to do is just give a smile.
We've all got a part.
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
a guy named Randall Hammond. He's with Kairos Prison Ministry. We're talking about all the different parts of their ministry.
Right.
There's the preaching part of it, and there's just all kinds of stuff. He said, you know what one of the most important parts of this ministry is? And I said, what? He said, the women who volunteer to make cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said the prisoners hardly ever get cookies or
Right.
anything like that. And he said, so they'll just kind of do them up, and they pray over those cookies
Right.
too for the person who's going to eat that. And
Right.
I mean, that's an important part too.
Oh, yeah. Well, and again, like you said, and even those folks, they have a story, and many times we as Christians, and I put myself right in the middle of it, we forget, we forget that they have a story. And God didn't just call us to only reach the people that we like. God didn't call us to reach the people that are just like us. He said, go out into the world, which means you go reach them as well, So I'm 100% agree with you on that we all have a part, and that's part of our story and our ministry, is that you be you, and go be the best you that you can be for the one who gave the best for you and me. Look at that, that's a rhyme. I should write a song about that.
First song in the making right there. You heard it first right here.
That's right.
My granddad was he was a man of very few words, but they were dynamite
Right.
whenever he said something. So I was, about to graduate out of high school, deciding what I wanted to do. So I said, well, I'm going to go to job interview. He said, there's one thing you got to remember. He said, if you're going to work in, let's say, a fast food restaurant, this will be your first job. You're going to flip burgers, be the best hamburger flipper they ever
Be
had.
the best hamburger flipper. Now that right there could be a song too. Be
I
the
thought
best
I'd read that
hamburger
one to
flipper.
you.
I like it. That's gonna be my next album cover is a hamburger flipper, and I'm gonna be flipping them. I like it.
That'll be awesome.
I like it. That's so funny.
But
That's
those
funny.
are words of meaning.
Right.
I mean, those are so important.
How true? How true is that?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. That's all. That's so cool.
That's
I'm
the
gonna
thing
remember that one now.
That's
I'm
the thing
excited.
about being raised out in the country.
Right.
Because you hear all these really awesome things.
Exactly.
What do you
Exactly.
think about technology and how that's evolved? Is that helping you, or?
When it comes to social media stuff, I do a lot with Facebook and Instagram because my main demographic is on those two platforms. And of course, obviously, when you're doing events, when you can't afford to take a huge band with you, when a promoter or a church just cannot afford that, then that gives you an opportunity to use technology to still deliver your material. So I love it. I will be honest with you, I'm not very good at the whole technology thing. I try to be good at it, but yeah, the Lord just Yeah, he's just like,
Nothing
bless him.
comes with instructions anymore.
It doesn't. It
And you
doesn't.
have to
It's
figure it out, go to
crazy.
YouTube or whatever and try
Yeah,
to figure it
it's
out.
it's crazy. I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, and most of the time, I don't make the carton. All right, let's just call it like it is. I just
But
don't make
it's
the
so
carton.
awesome. Yeah, but I remember the old days when people would get up and they would sing in church, and they would have these tapes, like
Oh, yeah.
and you remember they would be sitting out in the car too long, and they would like
Right, and
be,
then
like
then you have
weird
to take a little
stuff.
pencil and
Yeah.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Man, I'm
So I'm
34
gonna
years
tell
old.
you,
You're making
I'm
me sound
into
old
the
now.
new.
Okay.
I'm just a youngster. But all these things make a play.
Right.
They really do. We still have a few minutes left in this
Nice.
segment. So I want to talk with you about young folks who are thinking about getting into the music.
Okay.
Give some words of wisdom out there. What do they need to do? What do they not need to do?
Yeah. All right. So if I can tell anybody this, and I've had several artists come to me and say, "Help me. Where do I go?" Just be you. There are too many folks out there that says, "Well, you need to do this," or "You need to do this. You need to be exactly like this." No, God didn't call you to be a Shellum Cline. There's only one of me, and a lot of y'all are probably saying, "Praise God." All right. I know a lot of people that would say that, but just be you. And you have a story. You have a ministry, so go share it. If you like writing, just keep writing. I can tell you, I've been writing ever since I was 10 years old. I wrote my first song at 10, and I've got this big old book that I used to like keep everything with. And I will be honest with you, I went back and I looked at those. Whew, those were some bad writing. I mean, it was horrible. Like compared to today, I'm like, ooh, yeah, no, and I'm just kind of
I
like,
did that.
yeah, I'm just like, let's tear those up and just be done. But just keep doing what you can do, and just keep writing, and just be you. And we're all learning. I'm learning as I'm traveling
That's
and
the
singing.
cool thing about
And-
life.
oh,
You
yeah.
can't know it all.
Exactly. And so, and this is something that I had somebody tell me at one time. There's going to be a lot of people tell you that you can't do it.
It's all right. I got you.
If
Make
I'm
'em a
gonna
liar.
listen to those people.
No problem.
Exactly. I was told, make them a liar.
Success is
Yeah,
best
exactly.
revenge, right?
Exactly. And because, again, if this is something God has called you to do, then God's going to make a way for you to do it. And then I have people say all the time, it's like, well, how do you know God called you? And I said, well, because you just know. You know that God called you. And sometimes God doesn't call the qualified, but He qualifies the called.
Oh, I keep thinking about Moses.
Oh, yeah,
Moses
exactly.
had a speech impediment big time.
Exactly. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be singing and writing songs for a living, and this is all I would be doing, I'd look at you and be like, yeah, you crazy. Never. Because I love to sing. And, I, of course, grew up doing it. Sang with my family, which was in the Southern Gospel world. And then, of course, I went Christian country, and now everybody knows me with a cowboy hat on. And so that's kind of how that works. But it's one of those to where if you, in any way, shape, or form, if you feel like God is calling you to do this, just go do it. God's going to make a way. You just keep making it happen, and don't let people tell you you can't do it.
No.
Don't
no,
do it.
no. They don't know.
Exactly.
And don't take advice from people who are not successful in anything. I mean, that's the worst thing you can possibly
Preach.
do.
Yeah, exactly. But and if
I used to love American Idol. I
Oh,
used
yeah.
to love it when Simon was on it because
Oh, yes.
Simon would just tell it like it was.
Exactly.
And so that made it really appealing to me.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't know. There was a girl from Slapout, Alabama,
Mhm.
and she was on American Idol, and she was up in the top like 3, top 5, or something
wow.
like that. And she said, I actually interviewed her one time, and she said, she said they wanted me to like dance, and I don't dance, and they were
Yeah.
trying to put her in a box.
Right.
So what do you say to the person that they're thinking about a career in music, and they feel like they have to be in the box and be like everybody else?
Again, be you. Just be you.
It's
I know it's the same thing. And it's so simple, but it's something that it took me forever to understand. See, I was that guy. I was told the very first record label that I had talked to was like, you need to do this, 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 and this. You need to change this. We're only going to let you sing these songs. And like literally, it took me all of one concert to realize I am absolutely miserable at what I'm doing right now. And I went to him and I was like, I can't. This is not who I am. And obviously, record deal didn't work out, so I went a different way. But when I did it that way, it was just liberating. And you see God moving when you're just being you. It's funny because, again, a lot of folks that I work with, I tell them that, be you. You're not so and so. Be you.
Well, I mean, some music. I love country music.
Right.
But some of it sounds like it's almost the same song. It's the same. It's a different person.
Right.
But there's nothing unique. I guess
Exactly.
The word is unique.
Exactly. And that's the thing, and that's why I tell people all the time. I'm like, as a writer, go out, and if you don't write, then find writers that do write and do original material that belongs to you. Don't sing somebody else's song that 19 other artists have already recorded in the last 2 weeks. Okay, who's that helping? Is that your story? No, it's not. It's just a song you like. Okay, then push the play button, sing it to the top of your lungs on the way to Walmart. That's fine. But when you're up on stage and it's your job to minister, you never know who's going to be in that audience. And so be you and get stories that you can relate to and you can share with them and say, hey, this is my story.
Well, what if
This
it
is
just
who I
helps
am.
one person?
Exactly. And and you never know. You never know who's going to be in a concert, just like that young man in North Carolina. Who would have thought that on 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when I was close to the ocean, I wanted to be at the beach. I wanted to go swimming and hang out and all that new stuff. Who would have ever thought at that very moment that a phone call would have saved somebody's life and point them to Jesus Christ? He wasn't in that service that morning, but because his mom was, she asked me to make that phone call, and God took it from there.
Do you
All
think there are
because-
accidents? Do you think
I
everything
don't.
happens for a reason?
I think everything happens for a reason. I really do. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some things that I wish didn't happen. I can tell you that. But again, that's what makes you who you are. That's your story. And so, go share your story.
What if I'm a boring person and I don't have a story?
Everybody has a story. Trust me.
I promise you they do.
Everybody. And I've been asked that same question. Well, I don't do nothing. Well, I'm boring. No, you're not. Everybody is unique in their own way. And that's the thing, just go be you.
Everybody
and-
has a specialty, right?
Exactly. And it's funny because everybody's like, man, you just keep saying that over and over. Yeah, because it's true. Just be you,
It's
you know?
that simple.
It's that simple. And everybody's like, well, it's got to be harder than no. It's so simple. I mean, go
I'll
figure.
give you a good analogy. My grandmother made the best chocolate pies ever.
Right.
Nobody could ever outdo it. Mother was always trying to outdo her.
wow.
Now get this, Mother can make the best strawberry pizza that you've ever had.
Strawberry pizza?
Oh, it's good. It's got cream cheese and all this kind. It's not like pizza.
That sounds
but
Christian.
It's really good. So I
You're making me
asked her one day,
hungry
I said,
already.
"Why are you doing this?" I said, "Why?" Because you're going to get your feelings hurt. Because
Right.
everybody wants mamas.
Right.
They don't want your chocolate pie. It's not as
Right.
good as hers. Why don't you stick to making strawberry pizza?
Right.
So we find ourselves sometimes getting out to try to be like somebody else
Right.
because we think that's the way to do it.
Well, and it's funny because I was talking to one of the radio DJs here, and I thought it would be cool to have my own radio station. That lasted all of 5 minutes. It was bad. And when I say bad, now I can do the voiceover, like cool little voiceover things, but as of like keeping your attention on radio, yeah, nope, not gonna happen. I was boring myself, okay? And so, like you said, we all have a job. Every one of us has a job that is specifically to us, and God's called us to do that. And God's not just. I'm a firm believer that God is not just going to leave you here if He don't have a job for you. If He was done with you, He'd take you on home and get you out of this mess.
That's true. And we
but-
are in quite the mess.
And that's the truth.
There's a
But-
way to turn it around.
Exactly. There is a way. I do believe that. And that's why God is using folks like me and you to share our story and reach people. Because if we can make one ripple, then this person that we reached, then they're going to reach somebody. And before long, the ripple turns into a wave.
That is absolutely true. So let's talk about finding the right person. You're married to the right person.
Yes, ma'am.
How important is it to be supportive of each other and what you do?
Oh, it's awesome. It's very, very important. Very important. And I had to deal with that at one time with a spouse that was not supportive at all. And it was a bad situation. But now I've got a wife that, before I go on stage, no matter if it's an auction house, a campground, or a church, whatever the case may be, 10 minutes, count it like clockwork, 10 minutes before I go on stage, I get a text message that just simply says, hey, I love you, I'm praying for you, and I'll see you when you get
So
done.
that means
And-
everything.
oh, it does.
To tell each other I love you.
Exactly. And then afterwards, I'll text her, and she would want to know. She wants to know about everything. She wants to know what songs I sung, if anybody got saved that night, and we have a legitimate conversation afterwards. Where she may be 8 hours down the road, but she wants to legitimately be there. And it's so funny because a lot of places will video, like do a live stream, and then tag me in it. Lo and behold, my wife will be watching. She'll turn it on because obviously it pops up on her thing when I'm tagged in something with my music page, and she'll be watching it. And it's just makes you feel good to know you have a spouse that actually legitimately cares about you, and it's great. And then of course my kids, coolest thing, going down the road, and my kids always are asking me, "Daddy, turn your music on. Daddy, turn your music on." And I would turn my CD, my latest CD, and all three of my kids will be sitting in the back, and they will be singing to the absolute top of their lungs.
There's nothing
And
better.
there's nothing better. Like, that right there is worth more than any award you could ever win, worth more than a #1 song. And it just, it's so funny because the first time that happened, I'm driving down the road. My wife said, I'm bawling like a baby, and she's trying to video me. I'm like, you better put that phone away. Stop it. I'm not doing that. But it's just, it's inspiring to know that even 7, 6, and 5, well, my youngest will be 5 years old in December. A 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old, belting out the music, belting out the lyrics. They know exactly what you're singing, exactly what you're doing. And they just love it. They absolutely love it.
Any idea what the girls are going to do when they grow up?
Well,
They change their mind 50 times.
yeah, my youngest is, we call her Little Dolly. She has Dolly Parton's attitude and looks just like her at 5 years old. So, and she makes sure she is the diva, hands down. We've got a song on my new album called Pineapples and Flamingos that is for her, okay? And she loves wearing those high heel shoes. She will walk with them. I mean, literally, we were going to the pumpkin patch the other day, and she had her little costume on. She wanted to wear high heel shoes with it, and so
She's a little Dolly.
she's gonna be a little Dolly. That's all there is to it. The other two, one of them says that she's gonna be a vet.
Oh, see, that was me.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what. Maybe they'll wind up being a talk
Yeah,
show
I
host.
did.
That'd be
Do
cool.
that, whatever you do. No, have fun with it. It's really the world's easiest job.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling everybody that it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it works. It works.
So what do you want to say, folks? We've got less than 2 minutes left.
Well, folks, thank you so much for letting me come and hang out with you today. And do me a favor and go follow the Shellum Cline music page on Facebook and
Shellum,
Instagram.
like Shellum.
So Shellum, so it's SHELL, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, Cline Music, Shellum Cline Music on Facebook and Instagram. That way, it looks like I have friends.
Yeah, do that.
But
It needs that.
and they might be sitting there saying, "Well, I don't know if I like you or not. Why, give me one reason why I should
You'll
follow you."
like him.
That's why I will look at you and smile real big and say, it's the Christian thing to do. So please go follow the page.
Sounds like stuff we say in Bama.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so go follow that. And of course, ShellumCline.com is my website. And just remember, just be you. God's giving you a story. He's giving you stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Share it all.
Share it all. Somebody needs it. Somebody needs it. Just go share it because God's got a plan. And how cool is it going to be when we get to heaven? And he pats us on the back and says, I'm proud of you. You did what I asked you to do.
That's the ultimate right there. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Folks, thank you so much for watching Afternoon Drive Home on ICU Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. You got to stop by there.
That's right.
You got a bass pond out there.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'll bring my
some
pole.
fishing companion.
Yes, that's right.
You can find us on television 2 different ways, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundance TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just have a great day, okay? We'll see you in just a few minutes with another awesome guest.